Hey guys, so in this video, we're going to look at a bunch of different ways to counter W keying. You guys all asked for a guide on how to box fight when you're the person inside the box, and that's exactly what this video is. In case you guys did not know, since my last box fighting video, Epic has made some pretty big changes that only makes turtling harder. The way it works now is wall replacing is determined by a random roll, or coin flip. This is a pretty good and fair change overall, it's just it makes holding walls much harder. Anyone, regardless of their ping, can walk up to your wall and has a 50% chance of stealing it. That means we need some tips and tricks to turtle and play defensively when the time calls for it. For this video, you'll notice that a lot of these are counters to tricks I've showed in my counter turtling video. This and that video together are easily the most comprehensive box fighting videos on YouTube, so if you're looking for tricks from the other perspective, go check that out after. With all of that out of the way, let's start with the basics of when someone is pressuring and trying to replace your wall. The go-to counter for most pros is just to make quick edits to catch their opponent off guard. If your opponent is sitting in front of your box trying to pickaxe your wall, that's usually the best time to try for a cheeky little edit shot. Because the fact they have their pickaxe out means they won't be able to react in time to pull out their shotgun or to build and block the damage. You'll always see pro players like Tfue and Bugha countering W keyers this way. They all know that a really fast edit is one of the hardest things to block or to expect. Combine that with making different edits from different angles, and this is arguably the most effective way to kill people pressuring you. My personal favorite edit to make is the top right corner edit. You give yourself a huge advantage from the right hand peek, and you can block any return fire if you're able to reset the wall fast enough. From your opponent's perspective, they'll see the top of your head for maybe half a second at most, making this almost impossible to outplay. Bugha always uses this edit to win close range box fights and never takes damage while doing it. Another really underused trick is to wait for them to pressure your wall and then run out on them when they least expect it. Most people expect a turtler to sit in their box and hide, so when you fly out like a madman, you can definitely catch people off guard. Let's say you have a trap though. The easiest trap trick is to edit out your 1x1, ramp over your opponent, and then trap them. Remember to place the trap on the roof so you're guaranteed to hit them too. This is what I usually do whenever I have a trap, and it's because there's not much you can do when you get ramped over. I first saw Clix use this back when he was dominating in the World Cup qualifiers, and I've been using it ever since. Also, realize this only works if your opponent is on a floor, because you're not able to ramp over them if they're on a ramp or a cone. That's why good players will drop down on a ramp or cone. What you can do then is edit a top left or top right corner edit, and put a trap on the ceiling while you're still in the box. This is the safer but slightly harder option, as you need to do it fast and at the right angle. From your opponent's point of view, they'll be too focused on the wall to react or to avoid the trap. Plus, if they're at the center of the ramp or cone, they won't have enough time to break it or to escape to either side like they could have if you ramped over them. We can see in this clip here, Kuna notices his opponent is on a cone, so he then goes for the roof trap and gets an easy kill. Basically, whenever you have a trap, use the Clix trick when your opponent is on a floor and you're able to ramp over them, or use this trick when they're on a ramp or cone already because you're not able to ramp over them. Next up, let's look at how you can escape pressure to find time to heal or to reset the fight. The easiest way is to edit out the top of your box to get high ground. This will work a decent amount, but I recently showed a counter to it, where you place a wall in front of the cone as you try to steal your opponent's wall. That way they'll get stuck as they try to escape out the cone. Luckily for you guys, there's a neat way around this. What I've noticed many pros do is when they're going to edit out the top of their box, they'll place a wall through the cone after they edit the floor. That way, their opponent cannot block them with a wall of their own, and there's no way to prevent them from getting high ground. What you're doing is essentially predicting and assuming they're going to place a wall, so you preemptively place your own, similar to why you floor and cone yourself during high ground retakes. So if any of you guys were wondering why Clarity did this in my recent video, well, now you know why. Another one of my go-to tricks is this cheeky little low ground peek you can go for. All you gotta do is have control of the floor, position yourself up towards the wall your opponent is above, make the edit, and then hit them with a jump shot. This is insanely effective because your opponent will not be able to see you in the box, except for the half a second you're in midair. I showed Tifu doing this a while ago, as he's actually the person I learned it from. He loves using this trick because the speed of your edit does not matter as much as these other tricks, meaning if you're not on low ping, you'll definitely want to use this. The slightly more advanced version is to counter good players who will predict your jump shot and block it with a wall. Just like the preemptive wall placement while going for high ground, you can make the edit and place a wall, then edit the wall and go for the normal low ground jump shot. Not many players will expect you to place a wall after the edit, and if they try to counter your jump shot by blocking it with their own wall, they can't because your wall is already there. The player I first saw this from was Bucky FPS while he was doing box fights on stream. You don't always need to do this, but against good players or pros, this is a good way to outplay them during box fights. One of the most underused tricks while turtling is this really smart phasing trick. All you gotta do is edit your ramp in half, then stand at the back where your wall and ramp meet. Reset the ramp so you're phasing through it, and you can then shoot wherever you want. With how hard it is to hold walls currently, this is actually one of the better tricks to use when your opponent yoinks it. From their perspective, they'll think they have an easy kill since they just yoinked your wall, when in reality, you'll get an easy kill because they can't see you and they won't expect to take damage. Liquid72hours loves using this exploit, but the clip I always show is this insane clutch by Benji Fishy against FaZe Vorwin during the World Cup. The first thing Benji does is set up the phasing trick. He then lets Vorwin take the wall, and as Vorwin makes the edit, Benji already has his crosshairs lined up and takes the shot. Before we move on to what you do when your opponent gets inside your box, one last trick is this cheeky cone edit shot when your opponent takes your wall. Basically, instead of putting up a ramp, edit the cone inside your box into a ramp. This way, when your opponent takes your wall, they won't be able to put a ramp or cone inside your box. Instinctively, they'll try to break your cone to put their own, but as they go to shoot it, you can reset the cone edit and hit them with a fat pump. I never really see anyone do this other than Mr. Savage, even though I think it's one of the smartest and most underrated box fighting tricks to learn. Now, let's talk about what to do when your opponent has taken your wall and is getting inside your box. The safest thing to do is to expand your 1x1 to the side so all the walls are yours again. Every time they get your wall, just put up a ramp for protection and keep expanding. This does use a decent amount of mats, but hey, it's better than getting killed. 2 mini tips for expanding is that you can always go out the backside of your 1x1. Most people tend to expand out the side just because other people do it that way, but you gotta realize your back wall is actually the safest and easiest way to go out. The other trick is that once you put the ramp up, you can edit the top right corner of the wall you're nearest and do a cone jump out to the side. From there, you can turtle up a tile above where you were and give yourself some time to reset the fight. If you don't need to heal, you can also just go up for high ground by doing a normal cone jump, or when you're up against another fast builder, you can do a booga jump. Either way, you can easily get high ground using this trick. A really common box fighting scenario I always get into is when your opponent is in your box and under your stairs. What most people do is go for the typical stair edit and die because everyone expects that by now. We're in season 10, boys. There are much better ways to do this. The safer and better option is instead to edit out the box, reset the wall edit, and go for a right hand peek. Remember that all the walls around you are your own, so use them to your advantage when your opponent is inside your box. If you have a trap, you can just place a trap on the ceiling, edit your ramp, and then reset it really fast, and the trap will go off. The last tip I want to cover is also when your opponent has gotten into your box. My advice is never to fight for stair control if you don't have to. What that means is whenever your opponent replaces your stairs as their own, so now you're the person under the stairs, do not try to break the stairs and replace them as your own. What you should do instead is sit there with your shotgun out and wait for the edit. Literally, that's all you need to do. Line your crosshair up on them and you will always get the first shot on them, no matter what edit they make. Overall, that's just about every tip or trick I know for countering W keys and people pressuring you. If this video helped you out, be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and to turn on post notifications. Thank you to everyone using code JERIAN. At last, lads, the giveaway has officially started. I'm going to be giving away the new Final Mouse Cape Town, the Glorious Model O, and the new Glorious Model O-. So yes, that means there's 3 winners for 300k. If you want to enter, make sure you go to my Twitter and look at my pinned tweet. This is what it looks like, and it has all the info you need, so go there right now to enter. Otherwise, that's it from me, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.